Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury reviews hit the internet, and big surprise, it seems like people like the game. PlayStation 5 controller issues are starting to pop up, which is a bit concerning. And finally, Nintendo is adding some new games to the NES and SNES online service next week, and I really have to question the thought process that goes into choosing these games because this is a very, very bizarre lineup. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome! Be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to like the video before you leave. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So this Friday, on February 12th, we get our first-party Nintendo Switch game for the year of 2021, and it's technically a rehash of a Wii U game, but I think this is going to be possibly the best rehash of a Wii U game that we've gotten thus far, and that is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Now, this game originally released, minus the Bowser's Fury section, in 2013 for the Wii U, which is a system that, let's be honest, you probably didn't own it in its heyday. Maybe you picked up a used one or something like that, but with only 13 million units sold for the system itself and 5 million units sold for Super Mario 3D World itself, you probably haven't played this game, at least the core game. And really, the core game is a fantastic experience. If you look at the Wii U games on Metacritic, this is one of the highest scoring games, if not the highest scoring game for the Nintendo Wii U. It was an absolute blast to play, and this version of the game, of course, includes new things, such as the ability to play online with friends, which I think is a great addition, as multiplayer is a big component of this game, and of course the Bowser's Fury section of the game. Well, reviews went up today for people who got an early copy of the game. Of course, I did not get an early copy of the game because Nintendo doesn't work with me. You would think with all the Nintendo related videos on this channel they'd be knocking on my door, but no. And of course, the review scores seem to be very high. Now, over on Metacritic, we have a overall score of 90 right now, with lots of 10s, lots of 9s, and a couple 7s, which some people are finding interesting. One of the 7s, of course, comes to us from IGN, and I don't know, I kind of got a question giving this game a 7, unless you played the original to death. And even if you did play the original to death, like, how recently have you played this game? Like, yes, I get it, it is an older game, so you do have to keep that in mind. But the Bowser's Fury edition, the edition of being able to do things like play online and still have this excellent core experience at your hands with Super Mario 3D World, it's like, what is lacking about this game? They've done things like improve the frame rate of the game and the visuals as well, and it seems like the game also runs a bit faster than the original game did. Of course, you still get a ton of content in the original game, and now you're getting extra stuff with the Bowser's Fury. It just seems like a weird game to be so highly praised by IGN when it first came out on the Wii U, and then of course when the Nintendo Switch version comes out, it's like, oh, we don't like this game anymore. Now granted, it is of course a different reviewer doing it, and I do respect their opinions, but at the end of the day, that's what these reviews are. They are just opinions about the games, and you know what? None of these opinions matter. You know whose opinions matter? Mine do. So when my review comes out over the weekend, because I probably will be getting this game at midnight via the digital store, even though I already have a physical copy coming, I will give you guys my thoughts and impressions. So don't listen to these stupid Metacritic people and all these other reviews that are out there. No, you care about what I have to say, and we will be talking about Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury over the weekend. But what are you thinking about this game? Is this a game you're going to pick up for the full $60? Will you be trying to wait for a price drop that will, I mean, probably never come for the game? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, reports of PlayStation 5 controllers malfunctioning are starting to pile up online, and people are saying one thing. Well, there goes Sony copying Nintendo again. Now, obviously, Joy-Con drift is a prevalent issue on the Nintendo Switch. Some people try to downplay it, but I have been someone that's been very outspoken about it because I've experienced it several times. It's gotten to the point of where I don't even use Joy-Cons anymore on my Nintendo Switch. I have no idea where my Joy-Cons are because I refuse to use them after going through multiple sets of Joy-Cons that have been impacted with drift and things of that nature. If I'm going to play my Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, which I do pretty often, to be honest with you guys, I'll use something like the Hori Grip or my latest obsession, which is the Fixture S1, which allows you to use a Pro Controller on your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. It's obvious, it's a genius thing, honestly. I absolutely love it, and it's one of my favorite Nintendo Switch accessories because you can use that sweet Pro Controller in handheld mode and still have all the functionality of the Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. But now with the PlayStation 5, more and more reports are starting to pop up online with the DualSense controller now starting to have some drift issues. Now, Kotaku did a write-up on this. Yes, I know it's Kotaku, but sometimes they do good stuff, so I have to give credit where credit is due. And they basically documented different people talking about their experiences with this drifting analog stick when it comes to the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. Now, they actually went through the process of trying to get the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller repaired through Sony themselves. Now, the controller is under the standard warranty for the PlayStation 5. They basically had to sit on hold for about 20 minutes, then they got a live representative, and they were told what to do with this. Now, you do have to pay the initial shipping when sending this product to Sony, but they cover the shipping on the return charge of it. Now, obviously, that will sort of depend on where you are as far as the facility is concerned, but this seems like an issue that is starting to pop up more and more with the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, and I just have to sit here and wonder myself, like, what the hell has happened to controllers to where we have things like class action lawsuits with the Joy-Cons, and now all these issues starting to arise with the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller? Are we going to see a class action lawsuit with the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller like we have seen with the Joy-Cons? There's so many class action lawsuits going on right now that Nintendo is having to deal with because of Joy-Con drifts. But once again, I have to sort of go back to this theory and this notion of just like, what the hell has happened to controllers? Like, I have GameCube controllers, I have PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 controllers where the analog sticks are still buttery smooth, just like on day one, yet all these newer controllers that are coming out seem to have all these issues with them. And I guess as technology increases and as, of course, games get more complex, companies have to do things in order to make these controllers more responsive and things like that. And since we have talked about the Joy-Con drift in a negative stance, we have to talk about the PlayStation 5 DualSense sort of doing the same thing. Now, my PlayStation 5 DualSense controller is fine because, well, honestly, I haven't played my PlayStation 5 all that much. Most of the third-party games that I bought were on the Xbox Series X, so I've been playing my Series X a bit more than my PlayStation 5. I loved Spider-Man Miles Morales. Demon's Souls isn't a game for me, and I probably will check out Returnal. But it will be interesting to see if this is a problem that continues to rise, and more importantly, if this ends up being a class action lawsuit situation as well. And finally, the Nintendo Switch Online service is something we talk about very often on this channel, and I usually get very excited when new games are added to the NES and SNES Online service. Now, of course, many of us are hoping for Game Boy games and N64 games and GameCube games to be added to the service as well, because, I mean, really, it makes sense. You might as well increase the value of this service. Of course, as the Nintendo Switch continues to sell very well, you want to get more people in, and I think people would be excited about this. But late last night, Nintendo announced some new games coming to the NES and SNES Online service, and it's just like, what the hell are you people doing? Who is deciding these games to come to the Nintendo Switch's online service? There literally has to be a dartboard with every Nintendo game and every SNES game on this dartboard, and they just throw a dart, and whatever it hits, that's the game they choose. So let's go over the games that will be releasing on February 17th for the Nintendo Switch's online service, because it's a bizarre lineup of games. So one NES game that we are getting for the month is Fire and Ice. Now, I don't know anything about Fire and Ice, and honestly, I'm pretty sure that's like Trojan lubricant as well, but I mean, Fire and Ice for the NES came out first, but that's really the sort of thing I think about when thinking about Fire and Ice, like, you know, doing it and stuff like that. But Fire and Ice is a very expensive NES game. It's like a $150 game, and it's a puzzle game, and I really don't care about this game. I mean, I don't think I've ever played it before. I guess this will be my first time playing it when I play it next week, but yeah, Fire and Ice is the NES game. And going over to the Super Nintendo side of things, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. So we have Doomsday Warrior, which looks like this is like Time Killers on the Sega Genesis as far as low quality fighting games is concerned. Like, the sprites are small, the action looks slow and clunky. I've never even heard of this game before for the Super Nintendo, but Doomsday Warrior is coming to the system. We also get Prehistoric Man, which I don't know if this is like within the Joe and Mac or maybe the Chuck Rock universe. It's a standard 2D platformer, you know, maybe it's sort of a hidden gem or something like that. I guess it's not the worst looking game in the world, but it's definitely not at the top of the list for Super Nintendo games. And we're getting Psycho Dream, which is evidently a game that was never brought over stateside. It was a Super Famicom game. Kind of reminds me a bit of El Viento as far as the gameplay is concerned. And yeah, those are the three SNES games we're getting. So we're getting Fire and Ice for the NES, Doomsday Warrior, Prehistoric Man, and Psycho Dream for the Super Nintendo. Now, I literally just have to question the thought process with these games, and I get it. You know, there are people out there that are like, well, where the hell is Earthbound? And Earthbound makes perfect sense. It's a first-party Nintendo game. There's really no reason for it not to be on the system. Super Mario RPG is another game that a lot of people seem to be clamoring for on this service. Maybe there's some sort of issue with Squaresoft, aka Square Enix, with bringing that game over, but I really just have to sit here and think to myself, like, where is Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo? Where is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES or the Super Nintendo on the system? And I know what you're thinking to yourself,
well, RGT, there's problems with that. Rare owns Killer Instinct, and then you have Nickelodeon, who owns Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now. There's licensing issues.
To that I say pish posh bullshit, because of the fact that you just have to look at Arcade 1UP. Arcade 1UP is releasing a Killer Instinct cabinet with Killer Instinct 2, Battletoads Double Dragon on it. They also have released a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cabinet, which we reviewed on this channel. Make sure you guys check out that review if you happen to miss it when it first came out. So you're gonna sit there and tell me that Arcade 1UP has better ties to Rare than Nintendo does? You're gonna sit there and tell me that Arcade 1UP has better ties to Nickelodeon to get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles license than Nintendo does? Like, hell no, bullshit. Nintendo could easily get these games on the Virtual Console service, and I fully believe that because of the fact that what we're seeing Arcade 1UP do with these games. So the fact that games like Killer Instinct, which I've been playing since yesterday, I'm gonna be real with you guys, on the Xbox Series X, I downloaded all the Killer Instinct games that were on there. Really fun series. It's a series that I'm not super familiar with. And, you know, games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 on the NES, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. These are the games we should be focusing on, not Doomsday Warrior and Trojans, Fire and Ice, and Prehistoric Man. Now, of course, we are going to be playing all these games next week because I like to torture myself and make fun of these games that I'm not really familiar with, and unfortunately, I'm not familiar with any of these games, so we're gonna have some fun on the 17th, but maybe you are satisfied with this lineup of games. Let me know in the comments section down below. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury? Because honestly, I am. I'm really looking forward to it. Have you experienced any issues with your PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, or did you not even get a PlayStation 5 because many people were not able to? And finally, these NES and SNES games, am I missing something here? Is Doomsday Warrior like a super hidden gem on the Super Nintendo, and this is a game that I need to be very excited about, or does Nintendo need to get their shit together and actually release the games that people want? And as always, folks, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Yes, the Knicks lost last night, but D Rose looked very good. It's going to take a little time for the chemistry to get there, but I think the Knicks are going to the playoffs this year. I liked a lot of things about what I saw. Julius Randle definitely struggled last night, but you know, I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing tonight. Of course, the Hornets play and against Memphis, which is a very hot team. That should be a really fun matchup. I'm rambling about basketball like I always do at the end of these videos, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.